welcome to episode 551 of the Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast. I'm Sean.
And I'm Ian, and this is the only podcast that says...
You know how I know it's the end of the world? Everything's been done. Every kind of music's been tried. Every kind of government's been tried. Every fucking hairstyle. Bubblegum flavors. Breakfast cereal. What are we going to do? How are we going to make another 1,000 years? I'm telling you, man, it's over. We used it all up.
Nice.
Yeah. That is from Strange Days, a movie that takes place on New Year's Eve. Mm-hmm. I thought it was apropos to find something New Year's based, since we are recording December 30th, the day before New Year's Eve.
Yes, we are.
I do want to apologize. I didn't have the podcast up until late Monday because I was at my parents' house Sunday. Monday I was at Nancy's sister's house. So, if you were looking forward to listening to the show on Christmas, what the fuck is wrong with you, first off? But second, I apologize for that. It was just one of those strange things that, that happened.
Okay.
Yeah. But I should have this out since I'm not doing anything New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. I'm working New Year's Day, in fact. I should have this up at the normal time.
You're working New Year's Day?
I'm working New Year's Day, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, holiday pay plus time and a half, plus I'm working overtime this week, so the overtime will be like, this will be like the check that'll be like insane.
Yeah.
Or it should be insane, I should say. What'll probably happen is, I'll get all this, extra time and stuff, and then, like, the government will say, like, and here's your regular paycheck.
Right.
Because you've gone up a tax bracket all of a sudden.
All of a sudden.
Yeah. Fuck!
Right.
So how are you, sir?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing your thing with the cards.
Chugging along.
Yeah, chugging along.
Yeah, I got into that. It's, So every time I get into them, like, every 6 months, I'll break into them again.
Yeah.
And I have all these, you know how many boxes of cards I have.
Right.
And I'll come across a hockey box, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
I just don't. Like, I love hockey, don't get me wrong.
Right.
I like football. And football's my favorite one to go through.
Right.
It just is. I love going through football cards.
Me too, yeah.
And baseball, I'm not that invested in. I mean, I know the players, but I'm just not that invested in.
Yeah.
And hockey, I know the players too. But I have so many goddamn hockey cards. And I just look at the box, and I'm like, oh, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. I just can't.
Yeah.
I don't have the time. Like I have,
Yeah.
But,
I can take a nap.
yeah.
I'm much rather take a nap than go through hockey cards.
Yeah. But hockey cards seem to hold more value than any other cards out there for some reason.
I think it's probably because, one, it's so regional as far as, like, where it's popular.
Yeah.
And two, I feel like because of that, the market doesn't get flooded as much as football and baseball.
Yeah, it's just so weird. But anyway, so I went through these hockey cards, and I'll show you a little bit later, but there was a box I hadn't gone through. Weird. Never made that sound before.
Yeah.
In years.
Yeah.
And it was quite surprising when I had inside.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of a couple of these guys' rookies were just, I'm absolutely amazed that I had that many rookie hockey cards.
Right.
So anyway, that was kind of a shocker. And then, so I'm going through these hockey cards, and of course I'm pulling out all the Penguins. And, because that's what you do.
Yeah.
Because that's my hometown team, right?
Yeah.
I pull out all the Penguins.
Doesn't matter if it's Jimmy Pack, it's staying.
Yeah, but it's funny because, like, when I acquired a lot of these cards, probably 8 years ago.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
9 years ago. Those cards are rookies.
Right.
They're at the height of or at the end of their career now, or retired.
Yeah.
So those good players that were rookies 9, 10 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I guess when
Like you got your Jake Gensels in there and stuff.
more than that, well, I'll show you in a minute. But they had but what I'm saying is like maybe longer. Anyway, but anyway, he probably had like a shit ton that he was gonna sell.
Right.
And they couldn't sell way back then.
Right.
And so he's like, I have junk, you know.
Yeah.
That's why I have like 10 Belfour rookies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Some of the rooks that I got. So
especially how the market moves.
yeah. Yeah, I know. It's just weird. I just found it very, very strange. On like I have like 50 Kovalev rookies.
Yeah.
Which I found even more odd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's Kevin Stevens. But
yeah,
I don't know. It was just interesting.
It is interesting
on the hockey side of it. I mean, I kind of know what I have on baseball and football, but in basketball, I know what I have too. But the hockey cards, I just keep. I don't know.
Hockey and baseball is also hard because it's like, well, when is their actual rookie? Because like so often, like you'll see like, okay, well here's so and so from Moose Knuckle,
right,
Ontario, Canada. Mm-hmm. He was, this is the day he was drafted. Is that considered his rookie card, or is it when he actually makes the team? Like gets to the league. Like it's like that weird thing of like, so is that draft day card worth anything, or like? It's very weird. Like baseball's the same problem because you have a minor league system you have to go through.
Right.
Hockey has the same. Most players go through the minor leagues. Very few ever jump straight to the NHL
or the Canadian juniors.
Right.
There's all kinds of stuff. There's different. I think it's actually more with hockey than in any other sport because there's the juniors. Then there's like your Czech team. You know what I mean? Or the Olympic team of this, but that could have been his rookie card. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like whoever's rookie card.
Some Russian that played in the KHL.
Well, there's Russian cards that you can buy. Not Russian. Well, they're American cards, but it's like the Russian league.
Right, from the KHL and stuff.
It's so weird. And it's hard to. I don't know. It's just hard to.
It's hard to figure out.
It is, and also too. Like other cards, the market got flooded at one point.
Right.
Like when Sidney Crosby came into the league, the market was already flooded.
Right.
Right. So you have to get a Sidney Crosby, I don't know, game jersey or Sidney Crosby, limited edition.
Right.
Only 500 cards were made.
Right.
Or,
one of those deals.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it went for a while. You know what I mean? Like, you had to get these special edition cards and these certain sets that, you could only find here, here and there. And it's very, I don't know, it's very rough to get through, I guess. I don't know how else to say it.
It is. It's a lot of wheat you have to kind of sort through to get to the...
Yeah, I mean, like, back in the day, it was like, do you have Topps?
Yeah.
Or do you have Topps OPG?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
The Lemieux OPG rookie.
Yeah.
Is sort of a white whale for me.
Yeah.
My friend has it. Doug has one.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Yager OPG rookie.
Yeah.
But I don't have a Lemieux. It's sort of like my Terry Bradshaw. I don't have a Terry Bradshaw rookie. I don't care what kind of condition my Terry Bradshaw rookie would be in.
Right.
As long as I just had one.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because all my other rookies are mint.
Right.
I mean, I have, 3 or 4 Franco Harris rookies that are absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, Terry's the one I'm missing.
Yeah.
I have his second year card.
Yeah.
But I don't have his first year. Which I'll never get. Unless I find it in a box of scrap somewhere in a estate sale that they didn't realize that they had it.
Yeah.
But I'll never buy it. I mean, that card... I'll never buy one graded.
Right.
But it's still, that card would go for thousands.
Yeah.
It's just what it is.
Yeah, I get that.
You know what I mean? I think Franco's card would be way higher. It's high. I mean, it's a good card to have, but you think that big card would be.
Yeah, give me that's 72.
That's up there.
Yeah.
Who he was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Especially now that well, he's in the Hall of Fame, but now he's passed away.
Yeah, I know. Well,
a lot of times, like, when a guy passes away, their card increases
they'll drift
value.
up.
Yeah.
Or some cards, when they get into the Hall of Fame, their cards drift up, too.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? But, because I have a lot of Sanders rookies, too. I think I have Sanders baseball, too.
Dion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somewhere in there, I have a Jordan baseball.
I would imagine if you have Dion in a Yankees uniform. Because people forget he was a Yankee first.
Yeah.
And then he got traded to Atlanta, I think.
Right.
And,
yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look.
Yeah, but I would think, like, Dion in a Yankees uniform would probably be worth more than in a Braves uniform.
Right. And then there's your Foodland cards.
There's your Foodland cards.
That's worth.
Do you remember, like, there used to be, like, that, like, it was like a promotion with the police where, like, you'd stop a cop car and he'd give you, like, Steeler cards?
Yeah, I have those. I have a lot of those cards.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Well, like,
that Rob Brown Foodland card is worth 1 cent.
Wow, yeah. Because, like,
just scored before, too.
I remember, like, asking, like, Port View cops, they didn't have them. And then one day, like, I was over at your house, and there was a cop, and you're like, stop them. I asked him. Like, gave me the entire set.
Yeah, they didn't care.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, kid. Enjoy. I'm like, holy shit.
Right, get away from the card, kid.
Yeah.
Leave us alone.
Yeah.
We'll pull coffee there. Bob Airy card.
Oh, wow.
I forgot Score made him.
Yeah.
Upper Deck really went nuts when they came out with their cards.
So I guess we should talk about, because I know people were sitting on the edge of their seat, our fantasy football league this year.
Yeah.
At this time, I'll start here. So the top 4 teams were Stork's Dorks, Stork being of the Besotted Geek podcast. I finished in second in the regular season with a record of 11-4.
Yeah.
Otter, friend of the show, he was 9-6. He finished in third. Clark Harris's mustache, which is run by I think not Jim. It is Jim. Yeah, Jim from the History of Bad Ideas podcast. He came in 4th place. So those were your 4 playoff teams. Excuse me. Coming in 5th was Jason's Fluffers. Jason from Hobie. 6 was the Floppy Beavers. That's Otter's wife. Hobie Intern came in 7th. You came in 8th. Thad came in 9th. And Jeff from the History of Bad Ideas podcast came in 10th place. Mm-hmm. So last week was the semifinals, and I beat Otter, and Stork beat Clark Harris. So it's me and Stork in the finals for this weekend. So of course, right now it's Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb have just blown up, and so I'm already starting out in a hole.
How much they have so far? It's only the half.
Well, Dak. Well, here's what's interesting. So it's only 7-3 in favor of the Cowboys, but Dak Prescott already has 11.44 points, and CeeDee Lamb has 22.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean this went from being a game where it was like tight, like it was like a 1-point difference in projection to now like Stork is looking to beat me 128 to 115. So Hopefully Jalen Hurts can help me out here. Maybe Brandon Ayuk has a big game against the Commanders. I need something. So that's where we stand with the fantasy football. Fingers crossed. I'd love to bring that trophy home.
I wouldn't even have said anything.
I mean, fingers crossed. You got to report on it. It's people they write in, they say, "Hey, Sean, what's going on with the fantasy football league this year? We need to know." We haven't talked about it in a while, and there's been a reason for that. I'm superstitious, but I felt we should talk about it. I got a feeling I'm gonna get so close. I'm gonna get it handed to me. Like I'm not just gonna get my ass kicked. And I hope that's how it is. Like, if I'm going to lose, I hope I just get throttled.
Right.
And it's not like a 2-point game. And I look at my bench and there's a guy who had like a big game and I didn't start. Because that would be my luck.
Right.
That would be my fucking luck. Is like there's that guy who goes off for like 30 points and he's sitting on my bench. And I lost by like 3 points.
Right.
Fuck. So. But I wish Stork good luck. Not that you need it. And hopefully things work out for me. Hopefully. Did you see? I'm going to tell you folks now. This is going to be sports heavy. Okay. There's a lot to discuss. But did you see the Pop Tart Bowl?
No.
Okay. This has nothing. What I'm going to talk about has nothing to do with the game and everything to do with the mascot. This is the greatest marketing from a bowl game I have ever seen in my life.
Okay.
So before kickoff, they roll out this giant toaster. And out of the toaster, like they rise up with like sparklers and the whole kit and caboodle. Is a Pop Tart mascot.
Okay.
And they say this is the first ever edible mascot. Okay. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? So all game long, this Pop Tart is living his best life. He's dancing with the other mascots. He's dancing with security, messing with the ref. I mean, the mascot's tremendous throughout the game. So at the end of the game, they roll the toaster, the giant toaster, back out.
Okay.
He goes up to the top of the toaster, and he gets lowered into the toaster.
Okay.
And then after he goes in the toaster, and after a minute, at the bottom, out pops this giant Pop-Tart you can eat. The players are eating this massively baked Pop-Tart. And it was like the greatest marketing I have ever seen in my life. Like, it was amazing. I couldn't believe they pulled this shit off.
Right.
Like, I don't know who did this, like whose idea this was. They need a fucking raise. Because it blew up on the internet the other day.
Okay.
Like, for 2 straight days, it was like nothing but like this fucking Pop-Tart mascot. And like, people setting it to music coming up out of the toaster and back down into the toaster. And like it being sacrificed, but it was happy it was being sacrificed. It was holding up a sign that says dreams really do come true. And
right.
Oh, it was the greatest mark. Like, because you see like all these like, I mean, some of these bowls are stupid. We're gonna get into this,
right?
But like the Tax Slayer Bowl, and the Bad Boy Weed Eater Bowl and shit like that. But like the use of this mascot this year was just brilliant.
Good, huh?
Yeah, like bowl games like that normally don't attract my attention because they're shit games,
right?
It's like, you're a 6-6 team, and that's another 6-6 team. But I mean, the use of the mascot was tremendous, and I applaud the folks at Pop Tart and whoever came up with this fucking idea, because it was amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to look it up. Like, if you look up
Pop Tart Bowl.
Pop Tart Bowl, yeah. I mean, the mascot was amazing. Like the game looked like it was a good game. I think it was Washington. No, it was Kansas State against I can't remember who. Like it's a game nobody will remember except for the mascot.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there was nothing good about the game.
It was just terrible.
Well, no, I mean it actually probably wasn't. I think Washington State or Kansas State won by like 10 points. You know, I mean it looked like it was a good football game, but like here's the problem. A game like that is only of interest if you have a team in it.
Right.
Or if you're a degenerate gambler.
Right.
Like, I have no interest in that game whatsoever. So I'm not going to watch it.
Right.
But, you know, the highlights were fun to watch just because of the fucking mascot. Like, but, like, there are so many other games that, like going to a bowl game, and it's like, you know, the old man, you know, yelling at a cloud. But there was a time where going to a bowl game meant something.
Right.
Like even I, as a Pitt fan, will tell you there have been years where Pitt has gone to a bowl game where I said, "Man, they shouldn't be in a bowl." You know.
Right.
Like there were a couple of years, like there were 3 straight years where they were a 6-6 team going to the Birmingham Bowl for 3 straight years.
Right.
And it was like, man, I wish you would just like say like, you know what, we don't deserve it. We're a bad football team.
Right.
We're 6-6.
Right.
But coaches never will because it's 14 extra practices.
Yeah.
Like that's what it gives you is like 14 extra practices with your team, so you can like start setting for the future and stuff like that. And it's like, but like even more so now, like bowl games mean so little. Like today was the Orange Bowl.
Right. Yeah, the Orange Bowl.
Yeah, Florida State against Georgia. Florida State, who got jobbed out of going to like the playoff for the national title as an undefeated, you know,
got destroyed today.
Right, they got destroyed, but they got destroyed because like 32 of their players opted out or transferred.
Right.
Like they were playing their third stringers against Georgia's first team. You know,
why did they opt out? Because they're going to
Because
NFL.
they're going to the NFL, yeah.
See, that's like, that doesn't seem right.
But also, if I understand, like it completely makes sense to me because you as a player have millions of dollars on the line at this point. Why are you playing in an absolutely worthless game?
Right.
Because that's what the Orange Bowl is. It's an absolutely worthless game at this point.
Right.
There's only 2 games that matter this weekend, and it's the Rose Bowl and whatever. I can't remember what the other one is. I think the Sugar Bowl. Because that's where the playoff games are.
Right.
So, like, why should I go out there and risk injury?
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
For nothing.
Right. I mean, I understand. I just...
Yeah.
Still kind of sucks.
I mean, I'm at a point where I would be for just abolishing all the bowl games.
Yeah.
Like, because they make no sense anymore.
Not if your players aren't going to be there.
Right. I mean, not if your players aren't going to be there, but also, like, just from the standpoint of with the playoff, and with the playoff expanding to 12 teams next year, those games mean even less.
Right. Yeah, I know. I don't even...
Like, I understand why ESPN wants them. It's programming. It's live programming that people tune into. It does well from a rating standpoint because it's a live game that people are craving. Like, you know, who doesn't want to watch, you know, South Alabama State against South Dakota State, you know, in the What's the Matter U Bowl on a Tuesday night the week before Christmas.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I get that. Like, but at the same time, like, college football is such a damaged product right now because of opting out.
Yeah.
Because of the transfer portal and because of NIL.
Yeah.
And I say that not to be like players shouldn't be paid. They should be. Absolutely, 100%. But at the same time, like, it's not fair. Like last year, I can't remember his name. Pitt had a player. he left Pitt and he went to USC because USC told him, well, we can get you $3 million in NIL money.
Yeah.
Well, Pitt's like, yeah, we can't get you that much.
No, we're not going to.
Yeah. So he goes to USC. He had a meh year. And, I think he went in the second round of the draft to Minnesota.
What's his name?
Yeah. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, he was pretty much Kenny Pickett's contact.
Yeah. Yeah, he was when he was at Pitt, he was the guy. He was the man. He won the Blitnikoff award that year.
Yeah. Yeah, I just can't remember his name.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's doing well, I think.
Yeah, Minnesota, he's had a good season as a rookie. But yeah, I mean, like, that's what's unfair.
Yeah.
Like, that aspect of it, the aspect of, like, Florida State's better than what they showed against Georgia.
Right.
Like, do I think Georgia would have won that game? Absolutely, yes. I think Georgia was just a better team.
Right.
But I don't think they were, like, 63-7 better.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think Florida State's defense would have given them a much harder time had they had their starters on the field.
Right.
If it would have been a closer game.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But, like, you also look at, like, last night you had Ohio State and Missouri playing in the Cotton Bowl, and people were like, "This is one of the worst football games I've ever watched."
Ohio State.
Ohio State lost Missouri 14-10.
The Ohio State.
The Ohio State, yes.
Wow, I didn't have that bad of a record this year.
No, they didn't. That's the problem. They only had one loss.
And none of their people were there?
They opted out or transferred.
Fuck that. What's the point?
Exactly.
Like, it was always exciting for, New Year's because you knew there was going to be some decent college football.
Right.
And now, that's garbage.
Yeah. This is the problem we're looking at, though.
Yeah. I mean, that's garbage right there.
It is.
I think that if you play football and you're on a team and you're going to a bowl, then I think it's required that you play in the bowl. I do. I get it. I mean,
right.
I understand. But we've been doing it for how long? How long have these players been going to bowl games?
Right. But I
what's the point of watching the game?
I agree.
Why even? If you're going to show me a game that 60% of the starters are not there, then that's a whole different team.
Exactly.
So you're watching this team all year long. You know what I mean?
Right.
A high-flying team, crazy good. You know what I mean?
Right.
All year long, and they're competing for number one in the nation, and 50% of their players aren't there. That's not the same team that's going in.
Right.
That's not the same team that got them there. That's not the high-flying offenses and great defenses that got them there. You're watching a whole different team. So what's the point?
Right. I mean, and think about it this way. Like, think about if you harken back to, like, Pitt wins the ACC with Kenny Pickett.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
Pickett opts out.
I know.
So now they got their second-string quarterback in.
Mm-hmm.
Halfway through the first quarter, he's out for the rest of the game. So now you're down to your third-string quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah. You wonder, like, well, wow, Pitt lost, and they played a tight game because the defense was that good, and but they lost that game. Well, how did they lose that game? Well, it's because their first-string quarterback was watching from,
he
was sitting in a suite.
Yeah, that's bullshit. He shouldn't even be at the game. No, I'm serious. It's like,
but it's that
there's something inside of you. I mean, I get it, but in the competitiveness of it, how on earth can you just sit there in a box and watch your team play, and you're not injured?
Well, here's also, like, I don't know if you saw a couple weeks ago, Chip Kelly had some words about where college football is and what's happening with college athletics as a whole. Mm-hmm. And he said it's a sin that the Pac-12 basically went out of business like it was like a Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yeah.
He's like, just because the football team moved, that shouldn't mean that every sport has to move. Like he even said, like, football should be held to its own account. Like, you should take the top 64 teams, like all the teams that are in the Power 5 conferences, and you make that its own league with one commissioner.
Yeah.
You take away the conferences. The Pac-12 still exists. The ACC still exists for all the other sports. Football is its own beast.
Yeah.
And you divvy up the 64 teams and you play it like it's fucking professional football.
Yeah. I hear you.
Like that's like the NCAA has no input. Like every other sport, the NCAA organizes the postseason tournaments. Like the basketball tournament to determine the national champion is run by the NCAA.
Yeah.
Gymnastics is that way. Baseball, the World Series, the College World Series of baseball and softball is run by the NCAA. Football is the only sport that does not answer to the NCAA. The only thing the NCAA is just like, you know, to determine if you fuck up or not.
Okay.
Like that's it. They're like a law enforcement branch.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they like the bowls are not run by the NCAA. The college football playoff is not run by the NCAA. Like none of this is run by the NCAA. So if that's the case, just break football away from everything and make it its own entity.
Right.
You know, and if like the non-Power 5 conferences want to keep football within the conferences, they can do so. But he's like, the Power 5 conferences just make no fucking sense.
Right. It's a weird state of affairs.
It's very weird because like you've got like USC and UCLA are joining the Big 10 next year.
Yeah.
You know, Colorado's going to the Big 12, which it was initially a part of, and then went to go join the Pac-12, and now they're coming back.
Yeah.
You know, Arizona and Arizona State are going to the Big 12. What was it? Stanford and Cal are going to the ACC.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, it's like, it's a level of, like, ridiculousness. Like, why is Stanford, why does Pitt have to travel all the way across the country for their softball team to play Stanford?
Yeah.
Yearly.
Right.
Because they're part of because they're part of the ACC. Like that's ridiculous. And also it's ridiculous for Stanford to have to travel to Florida State.
Right.
Every year. Like, I mean, it makes no sense. Because, like, the point of conferences was it was supposed to be geographic.
Right. And it's not.
I mean, like, at least for a while, like, even, like, when they were, like, you know, robbing other conferences and stuff, they still were kind of, like, keeping it, like, somewhat geographic.
Right.
Like, you know, Penn State was, like, the furthest team east for the Big Ten. And then, you know, they went and they grabbed Rutgers. And, you know. West Virginia was the furthest east, I think, for the Big 12. Like, Boston College was all alone kind of by itself in the north for the ACC. You know, like, there were some oddities, but you could still say, like, well, it makes sense geographically still somewhat, you know.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, with the way the Pac-12 is disintegrated, like, geographically, it doesn't make any sense anymore for the most part.
Right.
Like maybe you could say like Arizona and Arizona State to the Big 12. I mean that's a lot of Texas. Well, I mean Texas is going to the SEC. Oklahoma's going to the SEC. But still, like you've got like SMU's going to the ACC. I guess you got TCU still in Texas. I guess Baylor's still in Texas. I guess a little bit of a geograph. But I mean, like overall, like it just doesn't make any sense anymore.
Right.
When you look at how like all breaks down.
Right.
All right. So I thought the other interesting thing that came out of college football and something that the bowls were being used for, some bowl games, they were actually using the NFL style system for communication.
Yeah.
Because there was the sign stealing, like the sign stealing scandal earlier this year with Michigan.
Right.
And I kind of understand. Maybe a smaller college can't afford that.
Right.
Because again, like, and I also know like in some games they were using like the surfaces like they use in the NFL too.
Right.
Like, it seems like at this point you should have the earpiece communication going, no matter how large or small of a school you are.
Right.
Like, maybe you're not doing it in Division 2 and Division 3, but if you're Division 1, even if you're not a Power 5 school, like that should be something that's like easily affordable.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To have your quarterbacks and your linebackers be able to just, instead of like relying on signals being sent in.
Yeah.
Just talk it to them.
Yeah.
Does it surprise you that college football is kind of like behind on that as far as like the technology?
I guess a little bit because college football has so much money.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that is like, there's so much money in college football.
I know. I mean, like, so it's not a money thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not a money issue, is what I'm saying.
I have heard some coaches say that is the problem, though.
Get the fuck out of here. They got more money than God.
I mean, even like I understand like a smaller school, like a non-Power 5 conference, like Marshall,
right,
or Dayton. Like, yes, I get it. You are smart, but there is still enough money there,
right?
That you should be able to afford this communication system,
right? I mean, come on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous that like and what's amazing is like the bigger schools, even the smaller schools, like how far they will go to like get plays set in.
Right.
Like, I mean, for years, like it was like the big thing was like Oregon with like their signs that they held up.
Yeah.
But I've seen some like one, I can't remember which school it was, but like they had like 3 different players, like 3 different, like they're 3 backup quarterbacks.
Right.
And they had like a backdrop behind each of them that like some poor lowly like assistant or like some like college kid was like holding up, like that was like 8 feet tall and they were all colored. And then each quarterback wore a different colored hat and they were all sending in different signals and you had to know who was live.
Okay.
Like, it was like this like odd thing of like, why are we going to these lengths?
Right.
Like, the answer is so simple to me. Like, why aren't we just doing it this way?
Right. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I mean, Kenny Pickett's senior year, he actually had to run to the sidelines. Like, not even his senior year, like his entire run as a starting quarterback. Like, he had to run to the sidelines for every single play call.
Right.
Like, they weren't signing him in because the coach was, like, paranoid that signs would be stolen. So he actually had to run to the sideline, get the play call, then run back to the huddle, give the play,
Yeah.
And then, like, and you're talking about at the time, like, they were running on, like, a 25-second clock.
Yeah.
You know, people were like, yeah, man, Kenny Pickett's tired the fourth quarter. That's he's got to run 1,000 yards.
Right. Yeah, I don't know why that technology has never developed. I don't. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. You know what I mean?
I agree. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why wouldn't it exist? Like, why is this something that, you know, you're living in the dark ages for?
Right.
And I mean, and the other side of that too is like, in all honesty, like, if you have a small college that can't afford it, it's all chip in and get that for them.
Yeah. Yeah, you should.
I mean, how much does the system cost? $1,000?
No, it's probably more than that. But
Yeah, but I mean, like,
yeah, I know.
I mean, all it is an earpiece in the court. Like, it's not like you have two-way communication.
Yeah.
It's an earpiece in his helmet.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, maybe that costs a couple $100, and you're talking a walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they don't do it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like, you don't even need, like, the special system like the NFL has where, like, you know, you can switch, like, okay, I'm going to talk to the quarterback now. I'm going to go back to, like, so you're talking on your headset.
Yeah.
Like, just use a walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
And cover your mouth. You know,
Yeah.
you know, it's not that fucking hard. Like, it just amazes me that, like, it's like I understand the surfaces. Like, that's expensive. Like, I get that. So you still rely on, like, you know, photographs taken, like, right before the snap so you can see, like, what the alignments are and stuff. Because that's all you're getting with the surface. Like, they're not showing video on the sidelines.
Yeah.
All you're getting is just a pre-snap alignment. And then from there you say, okay, well, this is what happened on this play. What, you know, that's what you're doing. Like, all you're looking at is pre-snap alignments. And like, for years they were like these shitty, like, Polaroids that was like, there's that shack. If you look at, like, the top of, like, Heinz Field, like, there's a little shack there. That's where the cameras are for, like, the all-22, and, like, the system that sends it down for the pre-snap read for the both teams. That's where that's taken from. Every stadium has something like that. So it's like you get, like, this, like, really shitty Polaroid, like, you know, and, like, it was like somebody's job as they were being printed out to, like, cut them and put them in a book for you when you come off the field to look at.
Yeah.
You know. And there was only one book.
Right.
Quarterback got the book. You know.
Yeah.
So it was like this odd, like, so I understand, like, that technology is maybe a little bit more expensive because you need 4 or 5 pads, you need a dedicated Wi-Fi system, you know, to, you know, get those put in. I mean, I get that. That's a little bit more. And I don't even think teams have to buy that in the NFL. I think that's provided by the NFL.
Right.
Like, I don't think they have anything, like, I don't think that's something that the team has to provide. I think the NFL provides those for both teams. Mm-hmm. So I get that. That's an expensive system that, you know, I get why colleges can't use that.
Yeah.
But still, like, the headset system just seems like that's just how it should be.
Right.
But I think the other thing, like, I think the thing that would deter would be no huddle offenses.
Yeah.
There are a lot of teams that, like, that's what they do. Like, they go no huddle, they walk to the line, everybody looks to the sideline to see what the play is, and then they get set.
Yeah.
Like, but, I mean, are you willing to, I guess that becomes a question of, like, are you willing to give up that style of offense in college?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, there are some coaches that's like, you know, their bread and butter.
Yeah.
I hated it myself.
Well, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, Pitt tried it. Like, when Fraud Graham came to Pitt, that's the offense they ran, was no huddle spread. Spade, spade, spade. You know, that was what they thought they preached. And I mean, there was that one game that it was against Iowa, and they went into like halftime like up 21-3, and they lost that game 27 to 21. And it was all because in the second half they were still snapping the ball with like 15 seconds on the clock every time. Like they refused to slow down.
Right.
They refused to milk the clock.
Yeah.
And it was like this game of like, so Pitt would go 3 and out and not even take a minute off the clock, and Iowa would march down the field and score.
Yeah.
Pitt would get the ball back, go 3 and out, and Iowa would march right back down the field. Like, it was like this game of like, if you would just learn to work the clock, and they never did, they never changed, you would have won the damn game.
Right.
You know, but because it's not in your vocabulary, you know, you don't know how to take the air out of a ball.
Right.
You lost a game. So that's kind of like why I hated that system, is because I watched Pitt lose a game that they should have won, all because they didn't know how to slow down the clock.
Wow.
Or refuse to slow down the clock.
Nuts.
Yeah, I mean, that was like back in the Shady McCoy. That was the last year Shady McCoy was at Pitt.
Shady.
Yeah. So, I mean, you want to talk about a year that, like, you wasted some talent. There was one right there.
Right. Crazy.
It was nuts. I was like, how do you do, like, I remember being at home, watching that game, and being angry as I was watching it because of how Pitt was just blowing this game.
Right.
I'm like, huddle the fuck up.
Right.
And they no, right to the line. We gotta run 80 plays today. What the fuck? So.
I know.
Yeah. So is Mason Rudolph our savior?
No, fuck that, dude. If you think I'm gonna get on that bandwagon, you're fucking crazy.
There are people that are.
I know.
I mean, there are hard. Like, I will say this. Okay, I get why you start him on Sunday. Like he goes and he has a great game against the Bengals.
Uh-huh.
You know, big plays. He did a lot of good. He looked good. Looked like he commanded the offense. And I'm happy for him.
Right.
I honestly am happy for him because, like, he left such a bad taste in my mouth the last time he touched the football that, you know, I never wanted to see him on the field ever again.
Right.
But, like, I always say this. Guys who are backups for a reason.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no way you could tell me that Mason Rudolph is the best quarterback on the roster if he was the third string quarterback.
Right.
Like, and you've seen this, like, in the year of the backup, you have seen guys who, like, shine for 2 or 3 games and then come back to earth.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, in this year, more than any other backup, like, there have been, like, I think, like, 58, 59 different starting quarterbacks in the league this year, more than any other year.
Right.
And it's all because, and you have guys who, like, they have a run of, like, 2 or 3 games, and then they get figured out.
Right.
And, like, I feel like Mason Rudolph had a run, like, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. He had his shot. You know, that Ben was injured.
Oh, yeah.
Here's your opportunity to shine, and he never shined.
Never.
You know what I mean? Like, he won some games where you're like, wow, that looked good. Like, he threw some passes where you're like, well, shit, that looked really good.
Yeah.
And then he'd throw some passes, you're like, what the fuck were you thinking?
Yeah.
You know? So, yes, he has a strong arm, and yes, he, you know, he threw some guys. I mean, he threw Pickens open a couple of times. You know, I know there were a couple of times he got made to look better than there were a couple of throws. I was like, oh man, that was he got saved on that one.
Yeah.
But I will also say I felt that way about Kenny.
Yeah.
Like you talk about Kenny's has a low interception count, and you're right. But there have been some throws where I'm like, oh, that should have been picked off.
Yeah.
I'll honestly admit that.
Yeah.
I think the good thing about that game against the Bengals was, everybody answered the bell.
Yeah, they did.
You know what I mean? Like everybody rose up and the defense rose up, the offense rose up. Like everybody stepped up and answered the bell for that game.
Yeah.
After, basically having your manhood questioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like by everybody. Including the two of us.
Right.
There were some questions about and I think they're still there. The win in one game doesn't blow the stink off of this season.
No.
Now I will say this: if Mason goes into Seattle and plays well, you start him against Baltimore.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to, and then you go into the off season and you have a competition.
Yeah.
But I feel like at the end of the day, there's a reason he's a backup quarterback.
Yes.
If you truly believe that Mason Rudolph is the future of your team, you don't draft Kenny Pickett in the first round.
Yeah. Well, I think the whole drafting of Kenny Pickett is the Marino Triangle as well. And I think that's where they were. I think that's what they were caught in.
I think so too.
I mean, I'm not saying. I don't know. We'll just have to see.
No, but
you understand where I'm coming from?
Here's the problem. They never had a backup. They never had a plan to replace Ben. That's
right.
Problem number one.
Right.
And problem number two is you decide we need you to retire.
Right.
You're done. We can't, Number three, you do it in a year where there is no there is nobody from that quarterback class worth a damn except for Pickett. Right. And even that's questionable.
Right.
In all honesty.
Yeah.
Like nobody in that quarterback class has made a splash whatsoever. In fact, some of them look downright awful and been replaced already.
Right.
There's a one kid, everybody's like, oh, this guy's amazing. Tennessee drafted him, started him, found out he was garbage, and went and drafted another quarterback in the first round last year.
Yeah.
That's where you're at. So, you're right. And then you throw in the Marino Triangle of, man, we let a kid from Pitt go once before, and he turned to be one of the greatest of all time.
Right.
I get that all, and like I said, I'm at a point where maybe Kenny's not the answer, but I'm still a supporter.
Right.
And I'm not giving Mason Rudolph shit either. You look like garbage previously. The last time I saw you play, you looked like trash.
Right.
And so you had one great game, and I'm happy for you, but at the same time, you've got one game does not wash away all those others.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't.
Right, I know.
But so many people are like, oh, he's so great. I love him. He's the best. I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Right.
I feel like we're comparing Cliff Stout and Mark Malone at this point.
I know. Yes.
No,
I agree.
That's where we're at in the, the post Terry Bradshaw era. We're kind of comparing Malone and Stout.
Right.
Which one's better? Which one do we keep? Who do we send off to the USFL?
Right.
No,
I know. I understand.
When do we bring in Todd Blackledge and David Woodley? So, yeah, it's just it's interesting in that I feel like they look so bad for 3 straight games, 4 out of 5. That you kind of like sat there and you said, like, when you watched them like roll up points and all the touchdowns and the way the offense worked, like, and the thing I say to myself is, well, like, he didn't score as many points, but can he look just as good against that Bengal team?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what was Kenny's breakout game? What was the Bengals?
Yeah.
Who was Mason Rudolph's breakout game? The Bengals.
Yeah.
Like, maybe the Bengals are just that bad.
Yeah.
Like that's like the real question you have to ask.
Who do we? We're playing Seattle, huh?
Yeah, we're at Seattle tomorrow. It's like a 4:30 game.
And what are our chances of getting into the playoffs?
Like,
they have to win out, of course.
Well, yeah, they would have to win out, and you need like 3 other teams like lose at least one game, or I can't. Like it's like this ridiculous algebra where you're just like, this shit can't happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to.
I was just curious.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I mean, I think it's like a 15% chance of getting into the playoffs or some shit.
And if they would have just beaten the 2 worst teams in the NFL, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
No, we wouldn't at all. They could be competing for the division and the number 1 seed.
Yeah. If they would have just beaten the 2 worst teams in the NFL.
Yeah, if you beat Arizona and you beat New England like you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Then yeah, you're sitting pretty.
Yeah.
You have nobody to blame but yourself.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, they could, and this becomes the thing. Like, they could win out. They could be a 10-win team this year,
and they could have been a 12-win team,
right? And they're gonna, but as a 10-win team, they missed the playoffs,
right?
And like, the thing that concerns me is they may look at that and say, "Well, we were a 10-win team. We don't need to make wholesale changes." Yes, you do.
Yeah,
you do. Like, you can't look at your record and justify that and saying, like, "Well, we're gonna bring these guys up and make them our offensive coordinator."
Yeah.
Like, no. Everybody's got to fucking go.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to fucking go.
Yeah.
Like, I've been watching the in-season Hard Knocks with the Dolphins. And it's like, I'm looking at that, like, okay, this guy's their quarterback's coach and passing game coordinator. I want this guy to be the next Steelers, like, that's where I'm at. Like, I'm looking at the Dolphins, and I'm already, like, picking, like, who I want from their offensive staff to be on the Steelers' offensive staff next year.
Yeah.
Because that's, like...
Yeah. No, I get it.
And you look at what they do, and it's, like, so imaginative, and it's so, like, they use motion to create mismatches, and, the way the routes work. Like, it's like watching their offense is like watching poetry in motion.
Yeah.
And yes, it helps having a guy like Tyreek Hill who, can run at 23 miles an hour. Yeah. It helps having Jalen Waddle. They have speed everywhere on that offense. But I feel like that you can still take that style of offense with Pickens, with Johnson, with Calvin Austin, like, who's, probably almost as fast as Tyreek. Like, you can take that style of offense, put it in here with the players that you've got and make it work.
Right.
It's just a matter of having somebody who's willing to do it. I mean, like, you got somebody down there in Miami who, like, you offer him the offensive coordinator position. Like, yeah, maybe he's only here for 2 or 3 years, and then he gets a head coaching job if he does well, but that's worth it to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm willing to take that chance. Because I feel like a guy like that could bring that style of offense here and make it work, and the next thing you know. And also, like, because you sit there and you say to yourself, well, wow, like, I mean, that's they throw the ball all over the place. They run the ball a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Raheem Mostert and Achan, like those two guys, they are carrying a heavy load.
Yeah.
And scoring
Yeah.
a ton. Like that passing offense opened up the running game. You put Jalen Warren and Najee Harris in that backfield. You know what I mean? Like that style of offense. Now all of a sudden, they're better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the offense as a whole, it's not just a passing game that we're talking about. You have to be creative with the running game too, and they are, and it works, and it opens up for those guys. And like to me, Warren and Harris are better than those two guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can give me that style of offense, that style of running game, a creative running game with creative blocking schemes and whatnot, now all of a sudden, maybe you're looking at 2,000-yard rushers.
Yeah. I don't know what's gonna happen.
I don't know either, but I mean that's the fun. But that's my worry is you win out. You're a 10-7 team, and you sit there and you say, well, there's nothing, no problems.
Oh. There's problems somewhere.
There's problems everywhere. There's problems on the defensive side of the ball as well.
Oh yeah, I know. But I think there's been problems on the defensive side of the ball for a couple of years now. This isn't
new.
No, because when Watt went out last year, remember?
Yeah.
I mean, we were okay, but we weren't.
Right.
Great. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, like, that just shouldn't happen. I mean...
I agree.
I mean, Watt's going to make his plays, yes. But your substitution, you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be that drastic of a decline in your defense when one guy goes out.
Especially on a defense. Like, on an offense, like, if you lose your quarterback, I get that. Like, that's the most important player.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that. And maybe even, like, you could talk about, like, hey, we've lost, like, our starting right tackle. And all of a sudden, your line is weaker for it because people are playing out of position or something. Like,
yeah.
I can even understand that. But on the defensive side, like, no, one player like that should not make that big of a difference on your defense.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they are night and day.
When Watson off the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that just cannot be.
Yeah. I do feel...
I think it'll be a little better if it happens again just because of Highsmith.
Well, Highsmith, but also Nick Herbig.
Yeah, I said, man, Herbig's...
When TJ Watt has come off the field and Herbig has gone on for him, you have seen very little drop off. Herbig is not as much of a disruptor, but he's a disruptor.
Yeah,
like you drop a step, yes, but not that much.
Right,
and it's like it's a blessing.
Yeah,
in a way, like you're like, wow, man, we got another guy, like almost to the point you start thinking to yourself. Maybe I get traded away, Highsmith or what?
Nah,
I wouldn't. I mean, I get that, but there is a part of you that thinks that.
Yeah.
Because maybe I could trade this guy away and go and get myself the quarterback I need.
Yeah. Herbig's good, man.
Yeah.
Spillane, from what I understand, is having a killer year too.
He is with the Raiders. He's been playing very well, but I mean, like. The thing that surprised me when we played the Raiders is we did not take advantage of him in passing situations.
Yeah, I know.
Because he is awful in passing.
Yeah, I agree.
You run at him, he is going to light you the fuck up. You throw at him, he is a deer in the headlights. But they didn't really... Like, I don't know if the Raiders have done a good job of kind of covering up that weakness with him.
Yeah.
And so they couldn't take advantage of it, but like it seemed like that was one of those things I was expecting, like a big tight end game. But I think Freiermuth was out for that, and for some reason we forgot we had tight ends while he was gone.
Yeah, I don't understand it either.
No,
we have a couple great tight ends on that team that they don't even utilize.
Yeah, like Cameron Hayward and Washington. Like I would have been like rolling Washington like right into the middle of that field. Yeah, you got Robert Spillane. He's going to hurt you when he hits you, but he can't cover you.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I mean. Like, we draft these guys,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, nobody. No one's. Well, I mean, look how long it was when we never even threw the ball in the center of the field.
True. Yeah.
I mean, how many games there?
Yeah.
Where there was no passing in the middle of the field.
Zero.
Which,
like, you would look at the throw charts, you'd be like, are we not allowed to throw here?
no, it's like zero.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
If anything's going to be open, that's going to be your spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have like sent Washington just stand go 8 yards, stand in the middle.
Yeah.
And we'll just kind of toss you the ball.
Yeah. I mean,
We'll throw it high.
I don't know.
So our last topic.
Okay.
How badly J.J. Watt is being robbed of the Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
Like Miles
J.J. Watt?
Or T.J. Watt, excuse me. Yeah, not J.J. T.J. Like the front runner is Myles Garrett, which is like such a joke to me.
Yeah.
Like such a joke. And it's like in the guy who's in second place, the odds-on favorite is Micah Parsons, who like neither of them have stats comparable
To
Watt at all. Like it's not even close.
Yeah.
And it like makes me laugh, but it's like it's that thing of like especially with Myles Garrett, once the media hooks themselves into something, they can't unhook from it.
Yeah.
And what they're not seeing is typical Myles Garrett. Like he's a first half player where like the first half of the season he puts up stats and he looks amazing, and the second half he disappears.
Right.
Like there was one and I don't understand how like they rate things, because there was like a play like against the Jets on Thursday night. Garrett, he's not even being double teamed. He's a single team, and he goes flying past the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
The quarterback steps up and runs and picks up 5 yards. But, like, he went flying past, wasn't even close.
Uh-huh.
And, like, Pro Football Focus is like, yeah, that's a 99 play. For what?
Yeah.
He didn't do anything.
Right.
He didn't even, there were other people influencing the quarterback to run,
right.
Not him.
Right.
Like, it's that thing of like in big games, Myles Garrett disappears. Like up until the game, the second game against the Steelers. Like I can say Myles Garrett, like I never saw him on TV, like against the Steelers. Like he never shows up against the Steelers. Like that was like the first time. Like he had like a sack and a half.
Yeah.
And the media was just like, oh, look at how good Myles Garrett is. I'm like, really? Like, he never shows up against the Steelers. He never shows up against the Ravens.
Right.
You know, like those big games that he just doesn't show up for.
Right.
But, like, you know, the media is just like, he's so good. He's so amazing. Look at what an amazing... He's the best defensive player out there. I'm like, motherfucker. Aaron Donald and T.J. Watt have something to say about that.
Right.
You know. Like, don't forget about Aaron Donald.
Right.
A guy who was once ranked the #1 player in the entire NFL.
Right.
You know. Like, you're talking about, you're saying Myles Garrett is the best defensive... Child, please.
Right.
Like, I'm more impressed with, and I don't know the guy, I want to say his name was Hawkinson for the Bengals. Like, he's been more impressive to me than Myles Garrett is. Like, I've watched him a couple of times, and like the dude shows up. He was a menace the first time the Steelers played the Bengals. He was a menace the second time the Steelers played the Bengals. And he's got like I think one less sack than Watt.
Yeah.
Like, like how is this guy not in the conversation? Is it just because the Bengals stink this year?
That's, I don't know.
I mean, you're talking about T.J. Watt's going to lead the league. There's a possibility, I should say. He could lead the league 3 out of 4 years in sacks.
Right.
Never done before by any player.
Right.
I mean, we're talking some of the greatest pass rushers of all time. Gastido, Klecko, LT, Reggie White, Kevin Green, Greg Lloyd, James Harrison. Like, none of those guys have ever led the league in sacks 3 out of 4 years.
Right.
Like, unheard of. But here's TJ. He has a very good chance of doing it this year.
And just gets bypassed.
It's amazing to me, and it's like, and I don't know if it's like, well, like we've had like what I think it's 7 or 8 different players who have won Defensive Player of the Year,
right?
And as a Steeler, and you're going back, like Joe Green, Jack Lambert, Troy did it one year. I'd have to look it up. Harrison. Right? Harrison did it the 1 year. Watt 1 year. But I mean, like it's like a list that's very impressive. And you're like, is there a media bias for like, wow, we can't give him another? Woodson was on that list too. Rod Woodson.
Yeah.
Like, is that just how it is? Like, you just like, oh no. But like, I just don't like. If Myles Garrett was having a year where you sat there and like I don't look at his year and I'm saying, yeah, he's clearly the best defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
Clearly. Like head and shoulders. Mm-hmm. No, it's not.
Right.
There are other players I think that are better.
Yeah.
And more importantly, like I said, like down the stretch, he just loses steam.
Yeah.
And on the other side, I mean, like, it's that funny thing of like, is the MVP, like the most valuable player, is it like a quarterback only award like the Heisman's become, or can you win it at another position?
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, right now, Lamar Jackson is running away with the award supposedly. But I would look at Christian McCaffrey. I would say he's probably the most valuable player.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's any other quarterback that you could put into that you could say, like, wow, except for maybe Aaron Rodgers, because without him, that team stinks.
Right.
But, like, and I'm not even like, I know I'm like, I don't like Lamar Jackson, but I can't deny what he's done this year. He's been very, very good. And I honestly think come playoff time, he's going to shit the bed.
Yeah.
Like he always does.
Yeah.
Like when the stakes are high, Lamar Jackson does not come through.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think it's going to happen this year. My personal opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. But, like, I think this year more than any other year, you could honestly look at, I think before Tyreek Hill got injured, he could have been considered for MVP. He was about to do what no other wide receiver's ever done and go for 2,000 yards.
Yeah.
Like, ridiculous. It's ridiculous to even think about that a wide receiver would have 2,000 yards receiving.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice didn't do it.
No.
Michael Irvin didn't do it. Randy Moss didn't do it. Like, there are a lot of receivers out there, but I mean, it's like he's so fast. Like, he can take that 10-yard slant and turn it into an 80-yard reception.
I know.
Like, if you single him up, he's gone. And it's ridiculous to think about. But Like I think this year more than any other year, you could definitely look at other positions, and especially to me, like Christian McCaffrey is definitely a guy that like should receive strong consideration for MVP because he's just been that good.
Yeah. He's good. I mean, there's no doubt.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I feel like if you take him off that 49er team, they're still good, but they're not that good.
Yeah.
I mean, the argument will be, and I'll hear it, like, well, Baltimore just destroyed San Francisco. And you're absolutely right, they did. You know, but at the same time, I'm not looking at one game. I'm looking at an entire season.
Yeah. And
to me, McCaffrey has been the most impactful to his team for the entire season.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. I mean, that's... Did you watch anything this week before we...
I watched The Equalizer.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was good.
I watched the Doctor Who Christmas special.
Oh, you did? How was that?
It was interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm only gonna say, like, I hate to sound like, oh, it was bad. It wasn't bad. It was silly.
Okay.
And I appreciated that it was silly. I thought it was a good introduction to the Doctor, this new Doctor.
Okay.
I thought it was a good introduction to who his companion is going to be.
Okay.
Ruby Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to more. But, like, this episode was a very silly episode.
Okay.
But being the Christmas episode, I didn't mind it being silly.
Okay.
There have been other silly Christmas episodes that I've been like, you know, like when Capaldi meets Santa Claus.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there are silly episodes. But I what I was trying to take away from it was like, who is this new Doctor? What is he? What's his style? Like the only thing I don't like is his sonic screwdriver looks like a remote control.
Okay.
It's not the typical wand.
Okay.
Like I hated when Capaldi had the sonic sunglasses. That annoyed the shit out of me.
Did
it did, yeah. And so this guy's got like it's not the wand like we're used to. It looks like a garage door remote control. And so that annoyed me a little bit. But I'll get over it. You know.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like the thing I was trying to take away from the episode is, well, what is his style? What does this Doctor bring to the table is different from the other Doctors?
Yeah.
And so I'm very interested to see like where it goes.
Okay.
You know, I mean, they said, you know, I guess spring of 2024 we get new episodes.
That's cool.
They're going to be on Disney Plus. I have liked, and the thing I've really liked is the production value.
Mm-hmm.
I thought particularly during the Chidenball years with Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, I thought I didn't like the way it looked. I didn't like the way it was shot.
Okay.
I think that was part of what I didn't like about, like, not only was like it didn't feel epic, but it didn't, like, I didn't like the way it just looked. It didn't look like Doctor Who.
Okay.
This looks better to me. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just how it's shot or whatever, but I was very interested in it, and at the end of it, there was like a mystery where I was like, well, who the fuck are you?
Okay.
You know, but outside of that, I think you'll enjoy it. I think if you give it a watch, I think you'll enjoy it, and I think like you'll be like, okay, this is who this Doctor is, and this is like kind of like his style, and I kind of dig that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
That's about it for me. I never really didn't watch much.
No, neither did I. I think like today I took a nap. I took like a 3-hour nap today for some reason. So, Yeah, it's basically useless.
Sometimes you need that.
Yeah. Also, I will say this as an announcement.
Uh-huh.
I've gone back and I've started playing Skyrim.
Okay.
But I'm doing it. Like, here's the thing. Like, I've had this because, like, for me, like, once I go down a rabbit hole, especially with like video games,
Yeah.
it's like 5-6 hour marathons. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just playing.
Right.
So I've had to like put restrictions on myself. Like, okay. So if I'm gonna play video games tonight, I can only play until a certain time.
Right.
And I have to be done. I'm setting an alarm and everything. Like, this is how long I can play.
Mm.
And I'm trying very hard to stick to that, and I have so far. So it's like 2 hours. Like, it's funny. Like, told my dad this. Like, yeah, I started playing Skyrim. Like, I'm playing like 2 hours a night. Like 2 nights, maybe 3 nights a week. You know, because that's basically how I played football.
Right.
I don't want to say I got bored playing football, but I kind of got bored playing football. I wanted to play. And I never got into Skyrim.
Okay.
Like, I had the game, I started it, but I never quite got into it. Because I know what a beast it is. It's hundreds of hours. You know, and, like, I've got this, like, game where it's going to take me forever to get through. And my dad's like, here's 6 other games you could play. I'm like,
Nice.
I don't play that much, Dad.
Right.
You know, I don't know what the fuck you think I'm doing, but I'm not playing this fucking much. So I am playing Skyrim. I do play just 2 or 3 nights a week, just 2 hour, 2.5 to an hour and a half a night. So for those of you who, you know, want to razz me about that, there it is. Enjoy. Somebody will tell me I need to go play Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4. Nancy has, but I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Sticking with my PlayStation 3. I'm happy. So, with that, remember there are a number of different ways you can reach out and touch us. You can send us an email. That email address is pittsburghnerd@yahoo.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search Pittsburgh Nerd. We're very, very easy to find. And we're on a number of podcasting networks. You can find us on the Tangent Bound Network, the Weeby Geeks Network, and the Pod Breed Network. Just give them a Google search. You can find all the other great podcasts they have to offer. And lastly, as always, want to thank you, dear listener, for taking the time to check us out each and every week. We can't thank you enough for your support.
Yeah.
And so on that note, Happy New Year, and the dreamer has awakened.
Peace.